Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question was suggested by a viewer. Thanks to Microdog for this one. Amy plays a Thoughtseize against Nick, who controls both Surly Badgersaur and Library of Leng. She makes him discard a Grizzly Bears, which he chooses to put on top of his library. Does this cause any of Surly Badgersaur's abilities to trigger? Okay, so I think we can all agree there's no universe in which what just happened qualifies as Nick discarding a land card or a non-creature non-land card. So that means we only need to concern ourselves about whether the top ability on the creature has triggered. We'll first observe that the somewhat peculiar wording of Library of Leng specifically says that this still does count as discarding a card, even though it went to an unusual zone. So for instance, a Feast of Sanity definitely would trigger here. Unfortunately for Nick, the Library of Leng doesn't say that you reveal the card as you discard it and put it into your library. Neither does the Thoughtseize contain such an instruction. According to this rule here, that means the discarded card is considered to have no characteristics, meaning it does not count as a creature card for the purposes of abilities like this, so none of Surly Badgersaur's abilities will trigger. The answer would be exactly the same even if Amy had played a Duress, which would of course guarantee that the discarded card meets the conditions for the Badgersaur's last ability. Because the card isn't revealed, the game cannot see what kind of card it is, and so no triggers. Speaking of seeing what the card is, this is a question I get a lot whenever I'm talking about something like this. Obviously, Amy and Nick both know which card is on top of Nick's library here, but if this was a multiplayer game, would any of the other players know? Well, if you take a look at Duress and Thoughtseize, they both say that Nick has to reveal his hand, and then Amy chooses a card. When that happens, all the players get to know what that choice was. I'll concede that this isn't spelled out super clearly in the CR, at least not anywhere that I could find, but this is how it's always been interpreted, and there are some rules that imply pretty strongly that this interpretation is the intended one. On the other hand, let's check out this card, Extortion. Notice how it just says to look at the player's hand and choose two cards. The term look is pretty similar to reveal, except that only one player gets to see. Now, when you're choosing a card in a hidden zone, it stays face down. Everyone can see which physical card you're choosing, but only players who are able to look at that card will know its identity. That means if Amy plays an Extortion against Nick, and Nick elects to use the Library of Leng to put the cards on top of his library, only he and Amy will know what cards those were. Of course, there's no reason either of them couldn't just say what cards they were, but there's also no reason they couldn't lie if they did that. The other players aren't privy to that information, so there's no obligation to tell the truth. Now, let's say that Nick wants to put both of the cards from Extortion on the top of his library. Obviously, there's only one card that can be on top of your library, so we'll need this rule here. Since Nick is the owner of those cards, he chooses which one will be the top card and which one will be the second card. He does not need to share this information with any other players. And that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for another daily ruling, but until then, I hope you have a great day.